They said the river had always been calm, a ribbon of blue curling through the quiet forest, feeding the roots of ancient trees and whispering past the mossy rocks. But something changed after the flood. Something old and angry woke up beneath the current. It started the night the dam cracked open like a rotting tooth, spewing centuries of trapped water back into the valley. Homes were washed away. Roads vanished. But it was the silence afterward that people feared most. The river didn't recede. It grew wider, deeper, hungrier. Jonas, a biologist with a love for freshwater fish, arrived weeks later with his camera and notebook, hoping to study the ecosystem that had exploded with life. Locals told him the fish were behaving strangely. Entire schools moved like they were being guided, swirling in circles, then scattering without reason. Some swam backward. Others floated, gills flapping in rhythms like breathless chants. When Jonas dipped his camera below the surface near the village edge, he expected to capture chaos. Instead, he found eerie order, rows of fish hovering still, facing the same direction, eyes unblinking, as if listening to something in the dark. He stayed in a cottage near the edge of the new waterline. Every night, the river crept closer. The ground around his cabin grew soft, wet. By the fourth night, the floorboards were damp and cold. At midnight, Jonas awoke to a sloshing sound inside the walls. Thinking a pipe had burst, he grabbed a flashlight, but when he peeled back the paneling, there was nothing but roots, and the faint shimmer of wet scales vanishing into the shadows. The village elders warned him to leave. They said the water had become cursed, that it was remembering something. Jonas didn't listen. On the fifth day, he donned his diving suit and went deeper into the river than anyone had since the flood. At first, he was fascinated. Fish of all species swam calmly around him, not scattering at his presence. Instead, they followed. Dozens, then hundreds. They surrounded him, forming a shifting tunnel of silver, red, and black. Their movements synchronized with his breath. The deeper he dove, the darker it became, until he reached a trench that shouldn't have been there. A pit in the earth, wide and breathing. From its depths, he swore he saw bones, structures, and eyes. Not fish eyes, human eyes, staring up through the muck. Panic clawed at his chest. He kicked upward, breaking free from the circling fish, but something brushed his ankle. Then his wrist, a slick, cold limb. When he surfaced, gasping and shaking, the forest was gone. His cottage gone. Only the river remained, now stretching endlessly in all directions. A vast, glassy sea where land used to be. He swam toward where the shore should have been, but the current pulled harder. Shapes moved beneath him. The fish were back, but their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting colors that didn't exist in daylight. They opened their mouths in unison. Not to bite, but to sing. A warbling, gurgling hum that echoed through the water and vibrated in his bones. Jonas never made it to shore. Days later, a rescue team found his dive camera tangled in reeds. The footage showed his final moments, him screaming silently, bubbles rising as shadowy hands pulled him downward. Not fish. Not human. Something in between. Now the villagers say the fish don't behave strangely anymore. They're calm. Too calm. They gather near the flooded roads when the moon is high, mouths parting and closing like a choir. Children claim they hear whispers in the ripples. Elders hang iron charms in trees, muttering prayers to the water. But they know it's too late. The flood didn't just reshape the land. It uncovered a memory, a deep, buried thing the river had swallowed long ago. And now it remembers who it once fed.